All right. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. And thank you for attending IMA's Student Series Accounting and Finance webinar. This is the 5th year that we have held a panel session, and each time the turnout with the students and the feedback has been fantastic with our panelists and the information that they have to offer. And we are extremely excited to have you all with us today. And we are looking forward to the discussion that we're going to have about careers in management accounting. A quick note, this session is being recorded, and we will be sending the recording out probably tomorrow to everyone that is registered for the webinar. My name is Mary Patterson, and I will be your host and moderator for tonight's webinar. My role with IMA is the Senior Manager of Academic Relations. I am the point of contact for everything academic related to IMA. So for a lot of the students that are listening to this webinar, I mostly work a lot with your faculty to give them resources about IMA and about our different certifications. But I also love to work with students, and I've been working with students for over a decade for accounting and finance students as you think about where your career is going to progress after graduation. So I put my email up there. Please, at any time, feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about IMA or getting your CMA or FMAA. We definitely want you to ask questions during this webinar. But if you are walking to class tomorrow and you think, "Ooh, I wish I would have asked this," again, feel free to ask me. And if there's any information that you need, I will be sure to get back to you. So let's take a look at today's agenda. I will be giving a quick overview of IMA, specifically with the CMA and FMAA certification. And then we will get right into the panel discussion where I will be asking our panelists several questions. At the end, we will save time to take questions from the audience. Please utilize the chat function to ask your questions. We have a very diverse group of panelists, and I think we will have a great discussion. Throughout the webinar, our team will be monitoring the chat. So what I do ask is that if you have questions at any time, place them in the chat, but also make sure that you're sending them to everyone and not just me specifically, because I might miss the questions that come in. Please, this is a fun and very relaxed atmosphere, so do not be afraid to ask questions. This is what we like about having the panelists and doing this on Zoom, so that you feel a little bit more of a connection to those that are speaking to you. And also, as I'm giving information about IMA, there might be some questions that you have. Again, throw them in the chat and we will be sure to get to them as we progress through this. So please make it as much interactive as you can. That makes the webinar more fun for everyone. We also wanted to take a minute to show how far along this webinar series has come. So as I said, we've been doing this for 5 years, and I believe this is our 11th student series webinar. And since we receive such great feedback from this program, we want to continue doing it and offering you a wide variety of different panelists that work in different careers so that you as students can gain more feedback and more insight on what it means to be a management accountant. If you want to watch previously recorded webinars, we do have them housed on IMA's YouTube page. Or you can scan the QR code on this slide, and it will take you directly to the Accounting College Toolkit, where we have not only these webinars, but other resources that are applicable to you as students. This slide just shows you some of the companies that we've had on our student series webinar in the past, but I think it's really neat to note that, especially for students, that if you're sitting there in a classroom setting with one of your student chapters, or you're studying for midterms, the fact that you could one day be working at Amazon or Barstool Sports. I always think that's something funny that students are like, I can be an accountant and work at Barstool. What the heck would that person be doing? This is why we hold these panel sessions, so you can have an idea of what someone does when they work inside of an organization. So I highly doubt if you're an accountant, you're walking around in a Mickey Mouse costume. But what is it that they're doing when you work for Disney as an accounting and finance person. This is why we have those webinars. So please visit our YouTube page and watch a couple of the other sessions that we have recorded. So before we get into the panel session, I want to start to give you some information about IMA. IMA is a global association with more than 140,000 members who are accounting and finance professionals working in business. Our organization has more than 300 professional and student chapters located in cities and campuses around the world. So I know we have a few IMA student chapters joining this webinar live tonight. But please know, even if your school does not have an IMA student chapter, you can still join IMA as a student member. And by joining IMA, students and professionals have the opportunity to not only network with accounting and financial professionals in your area, but it also opens the door to a network with professionals all over the world. And in addition to the networking aspect, there are scholarships available to students, gaining access to free accounting courses that IMA offers, and discounts on a lot of the other offerings that IMA has for certifications. And we are always open to having new student chapters created for IMA. If your school is interested, we can talk more about that and I can go into more details about how to start a chapter on your campus. IMA also offers 3 globally recognized certifications. We have the FMAA, CMA, and CSCA. IMA is reinforcing its position as the foremost association for professionals working in accounting and finance roles in industry with the 3 certifications that we offer. So this slide highlights the 3 certifications that is offered by IMA. I will briefly go over the FMAA and the CMA, and each of our panelists have the CMA or are currently studying for their CMA, and they will be talking to you about how it has helped your career. As you can see by looking at the certifications, IMA is there for your accounting and finance professionals for every stage of your career journey. On this slide, you'll find a more detailed breakdown of our certifications along with their respective target audiences. So starting with the FMAA is a foundational certification. Those who would be taking the certification would be students looking to showcase fundamental knowledge or business professionals who need a stronger understanding of accounting and finance topics. For students, it's geared towards those that are earlier in their academic career, looking to gain confidence and knowledge in the fundamentals of accounting and finance. So it's great for those who are either at a 2-year college or the certification is applicable to someone that might be a freshman, sophomore, or even in their junior year of a 4-year college. The other great thing about the FMAA certification is that you do not need to be an accounting major to sit for this certification. So we even have business majors that find that by taking the FMAA, it shows that they have the fundamental knowledge and skills in accounting. So just to give you an idea, I am not an accountant. I work in business development. I was a marketing major in school. I'm even studying for the FMAA as a professional just to be able to show that I understand the fundamental skills of accounting and finance. The FMAA can be taken while you're a student. So that's the other great thing about that certification. The other thing, and probably the certification that most people attribute to IMA, is the CMA, which is the Certified Management Accountant certification. And it is geared towards students and graduates of 4-year colleges and universities who are accounting and finance majors. Most of these who take the CMA are early and mid-level accounting and finance professionals, those that are just starting out in their career. Or we also have CPAs that are deciding to make a career change from audit into industry positions. In addition to the FMAA and the CMA, we have the CSCA, which stands for Certified in Strategy and Competitive Analysis. This certification is intended for credentialed accounting and finance professionals who are seeking a specialized skill set in strategy and competitive analysis. So normally when I do this webinar for students, I don't typically have someone that has their CSCA, but this webinar is unique where I have a panelist that is both, one is studying for the CMA and one is at the point in her career where she has her CSCA. So I'm really excited to get into the discussion with our panelists. I talked a little bit about what it is to be an IMA student member, but like I said, a student can join IMA to start receiving the benefits of being an IMA member. So number one, I always encourage students to connect with a local IMA chapter if you have one in your area. It offers a great opportunity to develop leadership skills and a professional network. IMA also holds a student leadership conference, which I will talk about in a few more slides. We held it last year in Anaheim, California, where it brought together hundreds of students across the United States together for a conference that was all about you, the students, accounting, finance. There was career expos. It was a great event. This year we will be in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few slides. But in addition, IMA has scholarships that are available to students. We award 30,000 scholarships each year to students in the US. So be sure to check out IMA's website for various opportunities to become a student member of IMA. In addition to our membership opportunities, especially when you're a student, we have learning opportunities that are free for students by being a student member of IMA. So we have a whole catalog of courses that are free for IMA student members, but the two that really stick out and ones that I suggest that you take, especially if you're already a member of IMA, is the IMA Data Analytics and Visualization Fundamental Certificate. So that is an actual certificate program. Once you complete the course, you receive a digital badge that you can post on your LinkedIn. And then we also have the IMA RPA series. So that focuses on robotic process automation. Both of these courses, especially as you move into technology and see how the industry is changing, this is a great opportunity for you as students to show that you are embracing this technology. You are trying to learn everything that you can about it, and that you've gone the extra step to take these courses to highlight that to potential employers who want to hire you. So again, these courses are free for students. If it was a professional member that wanted to take one of these courses, they would be anywhere from about $200 to maybe $400, depending on it. But IMA values our student members and want to make sure that they have this available. So I'll quickly go into what the FMAA certification is. So the FMAA certification instills the fundamental knowledge and competencies in accounting and finance, allowing students and professionals to showcase their expertise to employers and build a foundation to expand their skills. This certification was developed to address market needs. Based on input from the market, the FMAA certification was developed with 5 key content domains. And as I go through this, I'm sure almost everyone that's on this call will realize you either know all of this or you are currently studying it in your classes right now. So the first key content domain is general accounting and financial management. This is basically talking about accounting terminology, debits, credits, T accounts, adjusting entries, statement of cash flows, cash management, and inventory management. Everything that you probably talk or learn about in all of your classes every day, that is what's covered on this exam. The other content domain is financial statement preparation and analysis. This deals with asset and liability valuation, basic financial statement analysis, and profitability ratios. Then we also have planning and budgeting. So just going over budgeting concepts and methodologies, and then cost management and performance metrics. So different cost measurement concepts that you might go over, variable and fixed overhead expenses, and then of course, performance management. Again, this is everything that you're learning in your courses, and I'm sure a lot of our panelists will also agree. It's a lot of things that they do when they are actually working in their jobs. And then there's a little bit that also covers professional ethics. The breakdown of the CMA certification, it is only a 2-hour exam with 80 multiple choice questions. There are no eligibility requirements, so that means any student can take the FMAA. The exam costs $300 and it is offered throughout the year. So there are not testing windows when it comes to the FMAA exam. Moving on, the CMA, I'm just going to provide you a very high level overview of the test topics. And again, all of our panelists have either taken and passed the CMA or they are in the process of studying for it. But the CMA exam is composed of 2 parts, testing your fluency in both accounting and finance. The exams are each 4 hours in length, starting with 100 multiple choice questions and concluding with 2 essay scenarios, which are like mini cases. Part 1 of the exam is called Financial Planning, Performance, and Analytics, and it has 6 sections. So on this part of the exam, it will cover things like different financial statements, the budgeting process, variance analysis, best practices in internal controls and data analytics. And a lot of what you'll be seeing in this part of the exam will come from your cost or managerial classes and your intermediate or financial accounting classes. Part 2 of the exam, and this is, I usually say part 1 is more of your accounting side of the exam, and then part 2 is your strategic financial management, so the finance part of the exam. And it also has 6 sections, and this section will cover things like financial ratios, risk and return models, variable and fixed cost, best practices in enterprise risk management, capital budgeting techniques, and ethics. So hopefully all of these topics sound familiar to you because the content covered on the CMA exam is very relevant. I'm sure our panelists would tell you that it's important to have a mastery of these skills that are tested on this exam. Little things to know about the CMA exam, they can be taken in any part. So maybe you are a finance student and you want to start with part 2 of the CMA exam and then do part 1. Or you're an accounting student and most students like to start with part 1. My accounting students love to follow the rules and then do part 2. But the point is you get to choose what order you take the exam. You can also take the CMA exam while you are still in school, so you do not have to wait until you graduate. And it's really one of the things that we recommend is don't wait to put off taking any of these certifications. Do it as soon in your career. And if that's a way to get a jump start while you're still a student, that is the best time to take an exam, especially if you've just had an advanced financial course or a cost management course. Take these exams. You are used to studying. You are used to having that testing environment. Usually students perform better on these certifications and these exams than those professionals who have been out of that study mode for 5, 10, or 15 years. So take advantage of it now. Oh, I just see, Joel, you did part 2 first. I love seeing that. In addition to what I just said, IMA offers student scholarships. So one of the great ways that IMA shows a commitment to students is through our student scholarship program. IMA offers 10 scholarships to IMA endorsed schools, which you can see if your school is endorsed on our website, or 3 scholarships to IMA partner schools, which for the most part, every school listed. And if you attended a webinar and you represent your school, you are considered a partner school. So that means there are at least 3 scholarships available this academic year. Students have to be nominated by a professor, and students have the choice if they want to receive the CMA or FMAA scholarship. Students, like I said, you have to be nominated by a faculty member at your school. And what's included with the scholarship is 2 years of IMA student membership, entrance to the CMA exam program or the FMAA program. The 2 exam sitting fees for the CMA are covered, so for part 1 and part 2, and the exam sitting fee for the FMAA is covered if you choose to do the FMAA. And in addition to the scholarship, you also get 1-year access of GLIME, CMA, or FMAA study materials when you receive the scholarship. So that means you can essentially take one of these certifications at no cost. One thing that I do want to tell you with these scholarships, there is a time limit on when you can take the certifications. So if you're not ready to sit for the FMAA or the CMA, maybe wait and let someone that might be a junior or senior get those scholarships first, because there is a time limit to it. And we can talk more about the scholarships as we go into the question and answer. And I see that Mitra already put the information. One thing that I wanted to make sure that everyone knows about, this year's Student Leadership Conference, I think I already said this, it's being held in Cleveland, Ohio, November 13th through the 19th. Registration is open for this student-centered event to bring together accounting, finance, and business students from around the U.S. for an unforgettable experience. With this Student Leadership Conference, we have industry tours at Sherwin-Williams, Huntington Bank Stadium, where the Cleveland Browns play, Progressive Insurance, and then we also have a career expo and a networking event at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So this is something, if you are part of a IMA student club, Beta Alpha Psi, or you just have a student activities fund that you want to get some money together and attend this event, it is fantastic, and you get to start to build your network with students from all over the US. So we really hope to see you in Cleveland. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about the IMA student case competition. This is something that IMA is extremely proud of, and this is open to any students. So I think that's something that gets lost in translation. You do not have to have an IMA student chapter to make your team and compete for the IMA student case competition. So with this year, you have to use your data analytics to explore opportunities in the Haas, I always say it wrong, avocado market. Your team will dig into real sales and market data to determine whether the company should pursue a new partnership and enter the retail market. So this is your moment as students to show off your business acumen, sharpen your decision-making skills, and compete with teams from across the country, all while gaining hands-on experience with real-world data analysis and strategy. So to compete for this competition, you just need a team of 3 to 5 students. So look at your peers and say, hey, should we compete in this? You do have to be from the same college or university. And then students are able to join this competition. So there's more information on our website that you can look to put together a team and try to solve this case. And then we pick 4 finalist teams to present their cases live at IMA's annual conference. And this year that will be in Tampa, Florida. And I know I have Gian on the call, and one of her teams, they made it to the conference. They're in that picture. The fighting picture is the one that I made them take. But this is also a great way just to work team building, and employers love to see when students participate in competitions like this. So it is open to anyone. Get some of your friends together and join the competition. So I think I talked for enough. I know everyone's here to listen to our panelists. Just a few parting words. You can join IMA for $25 using the student code STU, STU25. Please talk to your professors if you're interested in taking the CMA or FMAA. Study and pass for both of those certifications. Graduate, get your relevant work experience, and then it's time to add CMA or FMAA to your business card and LinkedIn. So before I move into the panels, are there any questions, Mitra, that you think I should answer now?
We've gotten some good questions, but I think they're probably more appropriate for the panelists, kind of comparing the CPA versus the CMA. There was some people asking which scholarship should they go for, since we have one for FMAA and CMA, so maybe providing a little guidance
Yeah.
on.
So I would say it's up to you. If you are a, let's say your sophomore, junior year, I always say it's great to start with the FMAA, get your feet wet, get used to studying for a test or a certification that's at a testing center, that's timed, just so you get used to that environment and studying. Take that exam, trust me, you will do fine with it. And then get that confidence so then you can eventually do the CMA. Now, if you are a senior or you are someone that is maybe in graduate school and you're like, I'm ready to just jump right into the CMA, you might want to take the CMA and just go really hard right out of the gates with your studying. But if you're someone that's maybe a little bit earlier and you're unsure of, all of these certifications and studying, I would do the FMAA. It's a great way to get used to getting a certification, a professional certification for your name. I did see a question, can you apply for both? It's one or the other. So you do have to make the decision which you want to do, FMAA or CMA. All right, well, let's meet our panel. Let's go into this. So I'm excited to introduce you to our amazing panelists for today's Student Series webinar. Each of them represents a different organization and brings valuable insight into the world of management, accounting, and finance. First, we have Loy Bailey, an assistant controller at Hawaiian Host Group. Loy has more than a decade of experience in financial management, process improvement, and retail e-commerce accounting. She recently led a full ERP implementation and was promoted to assistant controller. Loy holds both an MBA and a BSBA in accounting from Hawaii Pacific University, is an active IMA member, and has already passed part 1 of the CMA exam and is currently preparing for part 2. Next, we have Ronan Garcia, who's a finance manager at Johnson & Johnson. Ronan is a CMA certified finance leader with over 10 years of experience in finance transformation and traditional financial management. He's passionate about simplifying processes and optimizing forecasting, driving sustainable growth and operational excellence. And then joining us from the Coca-Cola Company is Laura Jarvis, who is the Director of Revenue Growth Management. Laura has been with Coca-Cola for more than 25 years, serving in a variety of finance and RGM roles. She's deeply involved with IMA as a former global board director, past chair of the conference committee, and current member of the volunteer engagement committee. She also mentors through the Set Fire Sparks mentoring program. And last but certainly not least, we have Joel Newbold, who is a senior finance manager at Blue Diamond Growers based in Sacramento. Joel has a decade of experience across commercial FP&A, operational finance, and cost accounting. He's a proud CMA and graduate of San Diego State University. And outside of work, Joel's an avid pickleball player, home brewer, and devoted fan of LeBron James. So I love having our panelists together, and let's start to get into our questions. Where did I put them? All right, I found them. Are all my panelists here and accounted for? Okay, well, let's start with our first question. And the first question is, would you briefly describe your career after graduating undergrad and provide some details about your current company and your responsibilities within the role? So most of the students have probably heard of Johnson & Johnson or Coca-Cola, but they might not understand what someone in an accounting or finance role does. So Joel, I will let you start off. Tell us your story.
Sure. I graduated from San Diego State in 2014, and immediately after that, I entered a finance rotational program at a company called UTC Aerospace Systems that was based in Chula Vista, California. That company's since changed. I think it's Collins Aerospace now. Rotational program is a great place to start. What companies do is they will sort of rotate you through different departments to give you exposure to different types of roles in accounting and finance. And so gives you a few months in each role. You get to kind of experience different things, different types of problem solving, and just different parts of the business. So that was cool exposure. I was at that company for a couple of years before taking a job at Blue Diamond, where I've been for the last like nine or so years. And I've held various roles at Blue Diamond. Blue Diamond is an almond company. For those who don't know, we are the largest almond handler in the world. You've probably seen our products on the shelves at the stores. I'm not sure if you'd make the connection, but yeah, the Blue Diamond almond brand. We also sell B2B to companies like Kellogg's and Post and others. We're in their cereals and things like that. At Blue Diamond, I've held various roles in cost accounting, operations finance, at the plants, production plants, as well as commercial FP&A roles. My current role right now is senior manager of financial planning and analysis for the commercial division. So anything you see with our brand on it on a shelf at a grocery store, I'm reviewing and managing the financials for those items. So that's almonds, nut thins, crackers. Actually, I have a box of them right here. I was just munching on them. And almond breeze. Some of the things that I would do on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis are financial reporting. That's obviously really important. Reporting a lot of income statement related information. A lot of ad hoc analysis and scenario analysis to help our brand and marketing and sales team understand the best decisions that they can make to increase profitability for the company. Interfacing with other professionals around the organization in finance, as well as just cross-functionally to just, kind of be a broker of information. But really, I like to think of myself as like a professional storyteller, because the biggest part of the job is taking really complicated sets of data and information and trying to boil it down and distill it down to something that makes sense in a narrative form that you can then share to leaders around the business to help them make decisions. Because at the end of the day, it's about providing the right information to make the right decisions at the right time. And so, being able to communicate, tell stories, and take something really complex and boil it down into the main things that are relevant and important is probably the biggest part of the job. But yeah, lots of reporting, ad hoc analysis. There's some transactional stuff too. But really the most fun part of the job is the forecasting and scenario analysis and trying to help guide the company toward a profitable future.
I love that. All right, let's move on to Ronan. You're up. Tell us what you did after graduating undergrad.
Of course. So thanks everyone, and thanks guys for having me. I think it was very interesting after I graduated. I'm actually an industrial engineer. So I was looking for an internship, and I found this Johnson & Johnson internship program, and they had roles in finance. And I just had recently some accounting and some finance courses as well in my graduation. So I felt like, you know what, I want to go for it, and I have no regrets. I loved it, and I'm still in finance until now. And I don't think I'll ever change my career, to be honest. But so I started as an intern, and I started more around the accounting space. So I had a lot of background for finance and in the accounting space there. I learned a lot, and I joined, similar to Joel, a rotational program. So in Johnson & Johnson, we call it a finance leadership development program. So it was a 2-year program where I had different roles across the finance teams that we have in Johnson & Johnson. It was great to be exposed to the consumer segment that now it's we no longer have, which is CanView, but I was able to get some exposure there. I joined Johnson & Johnson in the medtech space, which I didn't even know existed, to be fully transparent. So for me, Johnson & Johnson back then was the consumer segment. And so it was great to get to the financial planning and analysis space, and also some commercial exposure as well. So I was supporting some commercial teams during the baby mega restage and changing all of the the packaging and the formulas for baby brands back then. So that was really nice to be very close to. So I was also working, I saw Lara here that she's in RGM. So I was working very close to the RGM team as well back then in the consumer space. And then I rotated back to the MatTech space across the FP&A teams. It was really nice to be exposed and to what Joe was mentioning, telling the story and making sure that you have a 5,000 feet view, then a 10,000 feet view, and then at the same time, if you need to, a 1 feet view to a very detailed assessment and analysis, depending to whom you're talking to within the organization. So that is really nice as well. And today, I'm in this transformational finance role where we're trying to transform the way we're doing financial planning and analysis for Johnson & Johnson with the implementation of new systems and technologies to move from the traditional target-based planning to a more rolling forecast and embedding some predictive analysis as well, and some more some tech enablement on the tools that you use for planning and budgeting. So that is really exciting to be on this forefront on the technology and shaping the organization and such a huge organization as Johnson & Johnson into the finance space. So I feel like I'm really proud to be in this team right now, and it's really exciting. So
And what did you say your undergrad was in again?
I'm an industrial engineer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Never would have thought you ended up there, right?
exactly.
I love it. All right, let's move on to Laura.
So I had a somewhat non-traditional pathway. I actually ended up working full-time before I finished my undergraduate, mostly because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I ended up getting my undergraduate in business management. During those courses, I fell back in love with finance and math and reminded myself that I really do enjoy looking at numbers. So ended up, after joining Coca-Cola, I started there in our risk management department as the administrative assistant for the department, but kind of getting myself fully involved in that finance space. We're a segment of treasury, and got my master's degree in accounting and financial management, and very quickly moved over into our North America business in the finance area on the commercial space, working in our customers and doing basically financial planning, doing forecasting, managing budgets, that kind of thing. I was in our finance space for about 13 years, 14 years of my 20 plus years with Coke, and moved over into revenue growth management about 7.5 years ago, starting out again on the customer side, working more on customer price package planning, something you'll hear a lot about if you talk to people in the consumer packaged goods space. Your price package architecture, understanding like what is the right promotional strategy, what are the right packages to sell in different channels and different customers. And today I actually work with our Coca-Cola does all of their distribution through bottling partners. We have approximately 65 bottling partners across the entire US. And I work with the 3 bottlers that belong in the Northeast of the US, basically stemming from the north part of Delaware across to Pittsburgh and up through Maine. And I work with them on long-term strategy. So as Mary mentioned, I do have my CSCA because I wanted to move into more of that strategy, competitive analysis, understanding kind of long-term planning, long-range planning, and that's more where I sit now in Coca-Cola. And it's kind of like finance adjacent, I will say, but kind of want to remind everybody that even if you do have, like, I have a master's in accounting and financial management, but I'm in our operations department. I'm not in traditional finance. So just one thing to bear in mind is a degree in accounting and finance can help set you up for almost any career you can possibly imagine. I mean, you can be our vice president of sales in North America, Coca-Cola. She is a former accountant. So I love telling people that because you can pretty much go anywhere and do anything.
And I did not pay Laura to say that,
No.
but it's the best thing you could have said on this. So thank you. All right, let's move on to Loy.
Hi, aloha from Hawaii. So my path into accounting wasn't a straight line. I actually started in customer service where I learned about communication and problem solving. But deep down, I know I wanted something analytical. I wanted to learn more about numbers and strategy. So I went back to school and earned my bachelor's degree in business administration with a focus on accounting from Hawaii Pacific University. And then after that, I completed my MBA. So while still in school, I work as an accounting assistant at a small local company. So for me, that experience really confirmed my calling, my passion. So it gave me the foundation, and it made me realize how much I really enjoy like helping businesses like understand their numbers. So since then, I've grown through like different roles from general ledger accountant to senior accountant to accounting manager, different spaces like nonprofit, retail, consumer packaged goods, just like Laura, or CPG. And now I'm with Hawaiian Host Group. So we manufacture and sell chocolate covered macadamia nuts. So you've probably seen them in the airports and stores here in Hawaii. They're a popular treat for travelers. And, you know, it's a well-loved local brand. So each step in my career has just like brought different challenges, you know, whether it's learning new systems, managing teams, and just improving processes. So I'm just looking for ways to make things more like meaningful, implementing ERP system or streamlining workflows. So actually earlier this year, I leaned into my professional growth by attending the IMA conference in Arizona and advocating to be part of the leadership team. So that was a turning point for me, and I got promoted to assistant controller. So I would say that, you know, it's a powerful reminder that growth doesn't just happen. Sometimes you have to like pursue it intentionally. So advocate for yourself.
I love that. And I did not plan for everyone to kind of be representing a company that sells something to consumers. But also I noticed that with Blue Diamond and the macadamia nuts, I thought, oh my goodness, what are the chances that I would find accountants working at both of the companies? But I love hearing all the different experiences with that. I guess my next question is, what made you decide to get your CMA? So I will start with Lloyd. I'll start with you. What made you get your CMA?
Study for the CMA. I would say that, you know, let's go all the way back when I was a little kid. So I love math and science. I've always loved solving problems and just figuring out how things work. So over time, I believe I was just interested in how business run behind the scenes. So just when I was in college in the Philippines, I wanted to study accounting, and I went to University of the Philippines, and they said that they're going to offer the accounting program the following year in my hometown in Cebu, but it did not happen. So I went ahead and completed my business management, and then fast forward to when I was working in the call center, moved to the US and continued with that career path and went back to school for accounting. So for me, it's just like once I started studying accounting, everything just clicked. So I realized that it's not just about the numbers, as what our amazing panelists mentioned. It's about understanding the story behind a business. It's like, you know, solving puzzle where everything, all the pieces comes together to show a bigger picture. So I feel like, you know, studying for the CMA, it's helping me do my job better, and it's challenging, but I feel like it's truly something rewarding.
I love it. How about you, Ronan? What made you get your CMA?
Also, again, my background is in engineering, so I learned a lot on the job, but I realized there was a point in time that I needed to strengthen my background, and that's pretty much why I decided to, okay, because I love being in finance, and I felt the need to take the CMA, and it's not easy. So my advice to everyone, do it while everything's still fresh on your minds. Okay. So Mary was mentioning, like, do it now or as soon as you can, because as time passes by, it's getting harder and harder for you to get back to studying. And so to me, I struggled a lot, but it was amazing to see a lot of the support that the IMA team provides in terms of not only um, having the tests available, but there's a lot of content in the IMA as well. So I think that was great. And I learned a lot, and we'll share more as well. But I do use a lot of what I've learned and everything I studied to take the test and take the exams and pass them on my day-to-day job. Like even today in transformational finance, I would feel like, okay, maybe I don't use so much of accounting, but that's not true. I still need to go back to sometimes even like some T accounting definitions and just go back and have the right conversations with people that are trying to explain more technical details. Then you relate to that, and then it's easier for you to have the right conversation. So definitely my advice to all of you is do it while it's still fresh on your minds.
And Ronan, I'm sure every faculty member that made their students attend this was like, see, that's why we teach the T accounts, and this is why we started the basics. So you just made all of them happy. How about
Yeah.
you, Joel? What made you get your CMA?
Well, it was something that my previous boss recommended that I do. And so I looked into it, and it seemed like it would really work for me. For me, when I went to college, I studied finance with a minor in information systems. So I had that like academic kind of backing, but you get into the workforce and you realize pretty quickly, like nobody really does it exactly the way they teach you in school. And in fact, they all kind of just take like little bits of some concepts you do in school, but they might do it their own way. So I go into a company, the aerospace company, right? I'm rotating through and I'm only seeing these little pieces of the company and the specific small piece of the company and exactly how they do it. And then at Blue Diamond, it was kind of the same thing. Like whatever role you're in, obviously, as you get promotions, your scope broadens, but generally you're still just seeing what that company does. After a couple of years of that removed from university, it's kind of you do a lot of learning on the job too. Even if you have the educational backing, you'll do a lot of learning on the job. And so like I just felt like it would be beneficial for me to like reground myself in the academic part of the things I'm doing, because I learned so much over like at the point I started probably like 7 or 8 years. I learned so much on the job. I wanted to reground myself in the real academic concepts, the stuff I learned in college. And honestly, CMA goes a little deeper in some ways, and reapply that framework to everything I've been doing over the last, decade or so. And it was super helpful, right? Because you now are taking things, when you're learning it in college, it's kind of abstract. You're learning a concept. They're giving you a general idea of how companies generally do things. When you actually do it and see it in real life, and you see the real life challenges that come up when everything's not just simple and black and white, it gives you a better perspective on exactly, where the academic part of things doesn't describe everything. So it's nice to like come back, like circle back and say, okay, I want to relearn this academic stuff, reapply that backing. And then it gives you just a better perspective on the things that you're doing. So really it is similar learning on the job, but like I just felt like reapplying that academic backing now that I had all the experience I had would make everything so much clearer. And it really did. I benefited almost immediately from it. I think during my studying, I was applying the things that I was studying to my work. So it was pretty cool.
I love that. I guess I always like to ask this question because I think it's something relatable, and I'll have you answer this, but what's something that you do that you never would have thought as a student would be part of your job, or something that like, man, I never thought as an accountant or working in finance, I would be doing this all the time. Like, is there anything that sticks out to you?
It's funny in CPG, like I guess I didn't imagine that I'd be doing like the business cases you learn in college. Half of them, more than half of them, are CPG business cases. So I didn't imagine I would be like so directly doing the things that like were in the business cases in college. But SAP, I think I didn't realize how much I was going to be using SAP and information systems. That doesn't, you're not going to get SAP in the CMA, but like just how to interact with information systems, and how beneficial it is to have a backing of like just database structure, relational database concepts, and then specifically using, for me, it's SAP. There are various other systems that can be out there, but I didn't know how much I was going to be using systems like that. And so in college, there were a couple classes where we had, took some training on SAP and a couple systems, and I kind of brushed them off. And I'm in that system every single day. So, whatever the system is, that one surprised me. I didn't think that was coming.
Wow. How about you, Laura? Anything that you never would have thought you'd be doing so much?
So I think a lot of people have the mentality of like accountants and finance people are sitting behind a desk, talking to themselves, just talking to anybody. There's just this, like, you're number crunching all the time. You're staring at spreadsheets. And I probably spend 80% of my time in meetings and on the phone with my sales associates, my bottling partners, my franchise associates. I kind of, I knew that you were working with other people, but didn't really realize how in depth. And one of the questions that was asked in the chat was about the collaboration. And I would say it's probably 100 times more than you're even imagining that it is. I mean, it's constant collaboration, and it's a great thing because you have to be social in a certain respect, but you have to be able to explain yourself and communicate in ways that non-finance and accountant people can understand. And I think that's like the big surprising thing is like, okay, you don't get to just sit there and play with spreadsheets, even though sometimes that's all we really want to do.
Laura, I love hearing that because as someone who's not an accountant, whenever I have someone that can explain something to me so I can understand that, I'm in marketing, I just want to get this and get this done. But when accounting or finance is like, well, Mary, this is why we make these decisions. Here's what the numbers are. Here's where we want them to be. I love you guys when you can explain it and I can understand it. So I love hearing that you have to do that a lot. How about you, Ronan? Anything that you do that you were like, I never thought I'd be doing this?
I think the one thing I never thought I would be doing is truly, and I'm gonna borrow some of the comments from Lara and also from Joel, because I never thought, and of course, technology evolved, but I never thought I would be exposed to so much technology like agentic AI and all of that, like in a finance or accounting context. I never thought that would happen. And it is true. Today, like spreadsheets, I used to use Excel a lot like when I joined J&J and in my first few rotations within the company, but today it's alignment and calls, and it is like how you make sure you have the right framing to convey the right information to the right level of within the organization to make sure everyone is aligned and make the right decisions. So you bring in the facts and you translate all of that numbers, those spreadsheets that you used to work a lot on, into meaningful, impactful pillars so you can make the right decisions. So I feel like mixing some of those, like the technology that has evolved a lot over time and the AI which is out there, and it's truly coming. It's not going to take our jobs, but we definitely need to make sure we know and we use it to our advantage to help our jobs. So I feel like that is the one thing I never thought would happen because it's so new. But yeah, I think it's something I reflect on today.
I love that. And how about you, Lloyd? What's something that you're like, man, I never thought I'd be doing this?
I think Joel, Laura, and also Ronan have already mentioned this, how much collaboration is actually involved in accounting. So when I was a student, I thought, I pictured myself just like working on spreadsheets like all day, crunching numbers. But in reality, I work with so many different teams: marketing, operations, HR, even supply chain, and most especially when we implemented a new ERP system. So it was a whole lot of cross-functional collaboration. And then, like, on a day-to-day or maybe on a monthly basis, like when our costs come in higher than expected, so we dig a little deeper and figure out what's going on. So for example, if freight or marketing expenses go up, I just don't stop at the number. I have to like reach out to the teams to get the full story. Like I might ask like, oh, did we ship more products this month? Or did we have more events or promotions than usual? Sometimes the answer is yes, and maybe there was a big campaign or product launch that caused the spike. So other times it's just timing issues. So it's just about connecting the dots. And then, the numbers just tell part of the story, and it helps you understand the why behind the numbers.
I love that. And then Laura, question for you, since you've been, probably more seasoned on this panel, how, with your different roles, how have you kept your career fresh and challenging? Because it's very unusual to have someone at a company for over 20 years. So how did you accomplish that?
Well, so it sounds unusual, but the median length of time for people at Coca-Cola is I'm in the middle. Like we have plenty of people who are well over 30 years. And a lot of it is, I mean, it sounds awful, but we do actually have kind of reorganizations where it's not so much that people are losing their jobs, but we're allowed to kind of have better opportunities for new roles. And so I actually spent quite a bit of time every 2 years kind of tweaking my role. It wasn't full changes, but one of the things that helped me do that was always asking for not more work necessarily, but learning opportunities. Like if I kind of knew I wanted to move into a specific role, I would start kind of job shadowing people that were in that role and getting to understand what the role was. And being in a large corporation like Coca-Cola, global corporation, you have that opportunity. You have the ability to connect with other people who are in other jobs and kind of figure out like, is that something I want to do? Maybe it's not something I want to do. So I did a lot of that, did a lot of networking, but just was also very lucky in having, very good managers who were willing to kind of let me explore and kind of find my way through. And, I knew I wanted to move into RGM about 2 years before I did it. And that's actually why I went and got my CSCA so that I could I wanted to move into RGM and IMA launched the CSCA right around the same time. So it was kind of perfect for me. But just kind of always be open to like learning something new and exploring, options, even if they seem like they're outside the realm, because you never know what you might stumble upon.
Love that. All right. Well, with time, I do want to say I always like to have like the parting words from our panelists. And I know Laura kind of already touched on that, but what as we start to close out this webinar, what would your advice be to your younger self as a student, or what do you want the students to know as they are looking forward into their future? So this is your way to give your advice to the students that are listening to this. So Ronan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think make sure you enjoy the best while you can during your college, because this time will never go back. Okay. So it's about everything, experiencing everything. And I feel like not only the academic part of it, but the friendship that you make in there can last forever. And if it lasts forever, it can be very beneficial to you, like in many different ways. So please make sure like you spend the time college and take the most out of it, both personally and academically, because that can also turn into professional network as well. So I feel like that is amazing. So try to, if I could reflect on, and that would be an advice that I would do to myself, because I feel like I could have done a better job back then.
I like that. How about you, Joel?
I would say that imposter syndrome is completely natural and normal. And so like as you get to your later years in college and begin your career and start to progress, you're going to pretty frequently feel like, do I belong here? Am I good enough for this? Sometimes you just don't feel like you know enough or you're good enough, and everybody feels that way. So just keep it in mind in the back of your head if you can. Everybody has that feeling at one point or another. Don't shy away from opportunities that are in front of you because you don't think you're enough. Like you probably are. So just give it a go. Mistakes early in your career, especially, you learn from them very quickly. Mistakes are the best way to learn. Like if you screw up, especially publicly, you won't do it again, so like you really learn from those things. But really, believe in yourself. Imposter syndrome is real. I'm in front of executives pretty frequently and I'm like, why am I here? Like why am I doing this? And panic for a bit, but just push through it. You probably do belong where you're at. There's a reason you're there. And then don't shy away from any opportunities that are in front of you. Like just jump forward and take whatever you can. And even if you don't think you're ready, just go for it. Like you're way better off in any decision in life, really, but really professionally, you're way better off doing something a year too early than a year too late. You don't want to be, oh, I wish I would have done X, Y, and Z. You're better off jumping in when maybe you feel like you're not ready. If you're not quite sure, you're probably okay. So I would just say don't shy away. Believe in yourself, and then advocate for yourself. I think someone mentioned that earlier. If you want a position, you want a job, you want something, go ask for it. The worst they can say is no. A lot of people get a long way by just asking.
It's funny when you said that about the mistake. I'm making a note for the next panel that I have to say, like, has there ever been a mistake and what did you learn from it? Because that is so true. Like, that's the best way that you learn from something, and do it early on so you can build on it. How about you, Lloyd? What's your advice?
So I would say, don't be afraid to take chances and speak up, and then find mentors who can guide you and push you forward. It can be your professor, it can be your supervisor, or any professionals that you admire. Get involved, join your local IMA chapter, attend conferences, and connect with people. So honestly, some of the best opportunities happen in unexpected places. So one of my most memorable mentors was when I attended the IMA conference in Arizona. I actually met him by chance at a bar while eating chicken wings. So we struck up a conversation, and he turned out to be this amazing finance leader. So that random meeting turned into a mentorship. So I'm so grateful about that. And then most importantly, don't wait. Start now, go after that CMA exam. And honestly, you're already off to a great start. You're here in this webinar, asking questions, investing in yourself. So just keep building on that momentum.
Oh, love that. How about you, Laura? Any final parting words?
I think my biggest offer for suggestion is do enjoy yourself. You're going to be working for the rest of your life, so do definitely take some time to enjoy yourself right now. But start your networking now. Get your mentors. I mean, IMA has a mentoring organization. Set Fire Sparks Mentoring is a mentoring organization dedicated just to college students. Happy to share information if you want more. Both organizations are partnered together, so I feel like I'm okay saying, kind of counting both of them, but get a mentor, start building your network, attend the conferences. Loy is absolutely 100% correct. I have multitudes of mentors from all of the conferences I've attended over the years with the IMA, but just, start building your network and get it going now. You will not regret it.
I love that. And just so students know, like I said, we have professional chapters all over the US. Look to see if there's any around you. They want students to join their professional chapter and be involved. That's also how they get with the mentoring, is they said, hey, come to our chapter, come to meetings, or we might hold them virtually, but we want you to get involved. So I know we are past, I never go past, but I guess, are there any questions, Mitra, that came through that we should touch on before we close? I will say you were one of some of my best panelists. We could have talked a lot longer.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I learned a lot myself, and I've been with IMA for 7 years now, and I'm still learning from you all. So thank you for that. I mean, there was a question about the CMA versus the CPA, which I don't think anyone's a CPA on this panel.
I
But
can
yeah,
speak to that a little bit,
that'd be
Mitra.
great.
So just my personal point of view, my master's program actually had a capstone for the CPA exam. And I think it's a personal preference, but I think if you look at the two of them, CPA is really dedicated to somebody who wants to work in an accounting firm or somebody who's going to go be an auditor. The CMA is really more for the people who want to go into the business space. So make your decision. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm not going to say you should do one or the other. IMA would love me to say go be a CMA, and I personally find that has much more value. But if you want to be in a big four accounting firm, if you want to go work for the consultancies, even in corporate space, certain roles require a CPA. So you kind of have to make that decision for yourself, but it really depends on what you think you want your career path to be. But again, if you want to touch base more, I think Mitra, you posted our LinkedIn connections in there. So please definitely feel free to reach out.
And Laura, you said exactly what I would say. It's just, what do you want to do? And we do have a lot of students that do both, because it's still taking exams, learning the different concepts. They're just testing a little bit different topic areas. So you can absolutely be a CPA, a CMA, FMAA, and a CSCA. Get all the letters. No one's stopping you, but really decide on what you want and where you want to take your career. Anything else, Mitra, that we should touch on before we go?
No, I think you covered it. This was really insightful. Thank you so much.
And I'm not just saying this, I wish we had more time, because you were really great panelists. I might be asking you all again because we could talk so much more. Thank you very much. I will stop the recording. I will stay on if any students want to ask me any questions. But other than that, thank you so much for attending the IMA Student Series webinar. We always hope with these webinars, you at least take one or two things from it, and that you become a student member and eventually a CMA and a lifelong member of IMA. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to the students that attended.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mary.
everybody.
Thanks a lot.
All right. So you got my panelists. I'm so sorry I kept you.